In this video, we're going to talk about how to factor trinomials. So trinomials, you'll see, are always in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. The sides over here always multiply to ac, and they also add to b. So we use this x diagram here to help us with factoring. So in this first one here, we have n squared minus 11n plus 10. So I'm going to draw my x. And again, these sides need to multiply to AC. AC goes on the top, and B goes on the bottom. So A times C here is going to be 1 times 10, which is 10. A, you'll notice, is always the coefficient on that squared term, which is why I have a 1 here. Then 1 times 10 again is 10. And then I add them to B. B is going to be negative 11 here. Notice I take that negative with it. And now I have to list out the factors of 10. So this is a positive 10, so that would be 1 and 10, and 5 and 2. But also you need to keep in mind I could have a negative 1 and a negative 10, and a negative 5 and a negative 2. That would also give me a positive 10, because a negative times a negative is a positive. Well, now that I've listed out all those factors of 10, I need to go through and see which ones add to negative 11, my b term here. That's going to be this, so I have negative 1 and negative 10 as my side numbers. And then from there, I just put them in factored form. So that gives me n minus 1 and n minus 10. Now if you want to check this, just distribute through. N times n is n squared. N times negative 10 is negative 10n. Those multiplied give me negative 1n, and that gives me a positive 10, which after you simplify gives me this right here, which is in fact the same. So again, this is my equivalent factored form right here. We'll do another one. Let's jump down to number 5 here. So number 5, one thing I notice right away is that I have a 5, a 10, and a 20. Well, I know that 5 is common between all of those, so to make it easy on myself, I'm just going to pull that 5 out. So 5x squared divided by 5 is just an x squared. 10x divided by 5 leaves me with 2x, and 20 divided by 5 is a positive 4. And now, I'll draw my x. Remember, AC goes on the top. A is the coefficient on your quadratic term, the squared one. So that's going to be 1 times 4, which gives me 4 up top, and then my b is 2. B is always with your linear term, so that's going to be 2 in this case. Notice I didn't do anything with the 5. I'm just focusing on this part right here, the one that has the quadratic. Now I list the factors of 4, which are 1 and 4, negative 1 and negative 4, again because a negative times a negative is a positive. And we also have 2 and 2, and negative 2 and negative 2. Now what I want to do is, after I have these factors, I want to figure out which of these are going to add and give me a positive 2. It turns out that none of them do. 1 plus 4 gives me 5. Negative 1 and negative 4 gives me a negative 5. 2 and 2 gives me 4. And negative 2 and negative 2 gives me negative 4. So this one does not factor. And there's that one. Next, we'll try number 6. So we'll draw our x out again. There's the constant on this a here, the coefficient, I mean, is 1. So there's nothing I need to factor out like we did in number 5. So a times c, again, a is my coefficient, so 1 times negative 90 is negative 90. And my middle term is just a, so that's going to be negative 1. Now I need to write out the factors of negative 90. Well, that's 10 and 9, negative 10 and 9, or I can have a 10 and a negative 9, 45 and negative 2, or negative 45 and 2. Then of course negative 1 and 90, and negative 90 and 1. After I list out all my factors, again notice I've got negative and positive for each, because that's what multiplies to give me a negative 90. I need to go through and see which ones, when they combine, will give me a negative 1. That's going to be the first one I listed. Now if you happen to list the first one, the correct one, the first time, then you just don't have to do the rest of this. You can stop right here if you see that. But if you're still not sure, just go ahead and list all of them, and then go back through and check them. So I know I have negative 10 and 9. So negative 10 and 9 on my sides, and now I just write them in factored form. So that gives me a minus 10, a plus 9, and if you go back through and multiply, you will see that that is equivalent and is the factored form. The last one we're going to do is number 8 here. So first thing I notice about number 8 is I'm missing a middle term. Remember, this is a. That's a constant, so that's c. That means I have no b. Remember, b is always my linear term, so that'd be like 7m or 9m or something like that. But I don't have that here. So in that case, we have a 0m as our b. So when I draw my x here, a times c goes on the top, so a is 1. C is negative 49, so that's a negative 49. B is going to be 0. Now I just need to find what sides go in here. The factors of negative 49 are negative 1 and 49, negative 49 and 1, 7, and negative 7. Well, I need to see which of these combine to give me 0. That's going to be 7 and negative 7. So when I write out my factors, I have m plus 7 and m minus 7. And if I want to check it, m times m is m squared. M times negative 7 is negative 7m. 7 times m is a positive 7m. 7 times negative 7 is negative 49. These right here give me 0, so I have m squared minus 49, which is indeed what I started with. So this right here is my factored form, which is also equivalent. So I want you guys to try the rest of the problems on your own.